Welcome to A Few Minutes with the CEO, brought to you by RBL Communications. I'm Al O'Grady, and for the next few minutes, we'll be talking to the CEO of Anfield Resources, Mr. Corey Diaz. Anfield Resources has a number of copper and uranium projects in Colorado, Utah, and Arizona, as well as some projects in Chile. Now, the date of today's recording is Wednesday, May 14th. Last week, the company had a press release that came out about acquiring uranium assets in Colorado. We'll be talking more about that and other developments with the company in just a moment. Anfield Resources trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ARY. Mr. Diaz, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Okay, Corey, as I said right off the top, you had a press release last week, May 8th more specifically, that Anfield has a number of uranium assets. Corey, what's the story there?
Well, Al, we picked up some property in Colorado. Given the low price environment for uranium at the moment, we're taking advantage of opportunities that we can see not only in Utah but in the surrounding areas. We happen to pick up 239 claims in Colorado and 50 claim groups, and all of these lie within a 100-mile radius of the only operating conventional uranium mill in the U.S., which is the White Mesa mill, owned by Energy Fuels. And it fits into our strategy of selling ore to White Mesa. We're planning to do that from both Colorado and Utah.
Okay, so what sort of impact is this going to be having on the company?
Well, we've increased our claim size, our claim number, from 361 claims to 600 claims with this acquisition. So we are well positioned to begin selling ore to White Mesa. In addition, these claims fall within 114 claim groups. Each of the claim groups is associated with at least one past-producing mine or one underground working. So we think that there are significant opportunities to develop these assets to delineate significant resource that we can sell to White Mesa.
Okay, I know you have uranium assets as well as some copper assets. Acquiring all these uranium assets, is that more of a change in direction? You want to do more on the uranium side, or is it just you're in the right place and a great timing opportunity?
Well, I think our strategy is to develop resources which can provide us with near-term cash flow. We're relatively resource agnostic, so the opportunity arose that we could pick up some uranium assets in a low-price environment, so we decided to take advantage of that. And we felt that these assets would be complementary to the copper assets that we do have. Given that we have operations in Chile, whereby we sell ore to a government agency and generate near-term cash flow, we thought that we could apply the same strategy to our uranium assets and sell ore to a producer in the area, i.e. White Mesa, and generate near-term cash flow in the same way.
Okay, you mentioned Chile, and we'll get back to that in just a second. Corey, for someone that's new to the story, why don't you take a step back, give us a little bit of background, a little bit of history, say the last couple of years, where you've been and where you are now.
In terms of Anfield started off essentially with one asset down in Arizona. It consists of two past-producing mines, the Binghamton and Copper Queen. The Binghamton mine, which is the largest of the two mines, produced about 8 million pounds of copper at 3.1%. The smaller mine, the Copper Queen, produced just under 100,000 pounds at 9.95%. These assets lie within the Arizona VMS belt, which is a very prolific area. The largest mine in the area produced about 2.5 billion pounds at 4.36% copper. So we know it's a high-grade copper zone, and obviously significantly sized large mine. So we see the opportunity there, or at least we saw the opportunity there to exploit these properties and obviously be able to build a significant mine. The second thing we did outside of that is look at other copper properties to complement that one property. Given that the timeline to get the Binghamton Copper Queen project into production, it's probably 3 to 5 years out. So we were looking for opportunities for near-term cash flow, and that's why we looked at Chile. Chile is an environment whereby one can start exploiting the land fairly easily and quickly because a lot of the copper is near surface and visible, and the market itself lends itself to the selling of ore to a government agency in order to generate near-term cash flow. The government agency there in NAMI is not in the business of exploring for copper. It's in the business of processing copper and selling end product. So it encourages small and medium-sized miners like Anfield to go out there and explore and find ore on his behalf.
Yeah, you answered my next question. I was going to ask you why Chile, but obviously it sounds like, as you say, a near-term cash flow solution. And I would assume that your Chile operation was a big part in terms of getting this new acquisition for additional uranium assets.
Well, I think because we've been able to find a way to generate near-term cash flow, we thought that this model would make a lot of sense, especially in the junior space. There are a number of assets out there in the junior space which are, in the exploration and development stage, which don't have an opportunity to generate cash flow in the near term. Our plan is to look at, a model whereby we can generate cash in the near term, which can differentiate us from our junior peers.
Okay, copper, uranium, which is your preference?
I have no preference. As CEO, I couldn't have a preference, but I think that both have advantages. I think that the copper in Chile lends itself to near-term production. I think the uranium space is one at the moment. Obviously, with the uranium price so low, doesn't necessarily lend itself to the same type of exploitation. But I do think in the medium term, it certainly has significant upside because the uranium price tends to climb very quickly once the supply demand is out of balance.
Okay, so where do you go from here? Do some crystal ball gazing. Short term, say the next 3 to 6 months, and longer term, say the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, I think near term we continue to generate cash flow in Chile. At some point, we start investing a bit more money in there in order to generate greater cash flow from that business. In terms of our properties in the uranium side, the plan in the short term is to identifying the most likely assets which we can put into production relatively quickly. So that includes a little bit of drilling and some further data work, geological work. And thirdly, we have a joint venture with our project down in Arizona, the copper project, Binghamton Copper Queen, with a company called Blue Zen Memorial, which trades on the CNSX. The largest shareholder, the principal shareholder of that business, is a Chinese billionaire who owns copper manufacturing assets in China, is looking to secure supply. The company, the agreement that we have with BZM is one that whereby that group will invest $2 million in order to help us delineate a copper resource estimate at Binghamton Copper Queen. And once we're able to find a resource of significant size, the two parties will invest on a 50-50 basis all the way through to production.
Okay, what about financing?
Well, we've raised about $2 million since the turn of the year. So we've found investors who have an interest in our story. Certainly, as we go forward, we'll have to continue to raise money. We are a junior resource company after all, but we continue to find more and more interested investors, given our portfolio and given the different stages of our projects.
I talk to lots of presidents and CEOs of companies on the TSX Venture Exchange, and I'd like to ask them this one question. What is it that sets your company apart from the guy down the street?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. First of all, we are looking for short-term or near-term cash flow generation. We've started it in Chile. We plan to continue it in uranium in Utah and Colorado. Secondly, we have a copper project and a partner with Deep Pockets down in Arizona. An initial $2 million investment to delineate a resource means that we don't have to spend our own money to do that. Secondly, this same group is looking for production and has provided us with an offtake agreement. A number of junior companies out there which are in the feasibility stage. We're not even in the feasibility stage. We don't even have a 43-101 compliant resource. They can't find a partner for an offtake, and the offtake serves as collateral in order to get debt financing to build a mine. We have that already before we even have a 43-101 compliant resource. So that is a massive difference between us and most, if not all, other junior companies.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Corey, that's it as far as the formal questions are concerned. As always, my guest gets the last word. Any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to add right now?
Well, I think that Anfield Resources is a company which has a number of assets within its portfolio, which in their own right could be their own company. For example, Chile itself could be a company. The Arizona product down, copper, could be its own product, and the uranium asset could be its own company. So I think that having all these assets under the same roof also provides mitigation from downside risk when it comes to either copper or uranium. I think that at the end of the day, I think we've got a number of world-class assets under the same entity, and I think that at some point, we'll start to realize some value as we're able to push these products forward.
Okay. On that note, Corey, I want to thank you very much for your time and sharing us your thoughts about Anfield Resources.
Hey, thanks, Al. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Okay. And Anfield Resources trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ARY. And you've been listening to Mr. Corey Diaz, CEO of Anfield Resources, on A Few Minutes with the CEO, produced by RBL Communications. I'm Al O'Grady. Thanks very much for joining us.